Hey YouTube, welcome to another video from Skinny Medic. Got Mrs. Skinny Medic here by my side. I'm gonna drink coffee because I have the man flu. Got a sore throat. Talking kind of weird, more than usual. Especially you can definitely hear it on two videos I just posted on the Medical Gear Outfitters channel. You can definitely tell I'm sick, but I want to get those products out to you. But we're coming out of, I guess, 2 weeks now of Hurricane Helene coming over top of us. And this was the biggest natural disaster that we had seen in our area. And West North Carolina is still suffering through it. We went up there this past week. We'll kind of let you talk about it in a minute, but it's devastating what's going on up there. Like, it took us a while to recover, but it's still devastating up there. It's going to take maybe even years for them to fully recover. So we just want to kind of talk about what our preps were and like what went wrong and what we did right. And just kind of maybe it helps you guys out. And comment down below what we could do better.
Yeah, so you worked the first 30 hours of the storm. He was working the day before through the day, like through it hitting till some part that time that Friday. You were off for a little bit. Typically, when we have storms come through, they're like we have tornadoes or we have an ice storm or something like that, and he typically is home with us during the storm, and then once things calms down, he's out with the crews doing their first responder thing. So this was the first year he wasn't here for the storm, but it was also our first year that we put one of our big preps to use, and it was really smooth. So we have a whole house generator. When we built this house, that was a requirement because we have a well, and I was like, we're gonna have a well. I don't want to have to deal with no water and all that such nonsense when he's gone, because 20 years of marriage, when there's a storm, he makes sure we're safe and then he's gone. So that really made the whole process go smooth. I did not have to go crank a generator. I was not filling a generator with gas. I was not running extension cords all over the place, which is typically what I'm doing, because for some reason, when we first moved into this house, we had not done the generator, and you were here for the storms. We had a season of really bad tornadoes come through, and he would stay home with us till it was clear, and then he would go out, and we lost power after he left the house. So I was scrambling to get things done. Yeah,
one of my friends, we were at the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, probably 10 o'clock at night, something like that, 9 o'clock at night, and he gets a phone call from his wife, and she is angry because they're running on generator, and she's putting gasoline into the generator and ends up spilling gas on herself, and she is very upset with him. He's got a whole house generator, but it's it's not enough to run their AC, stuff like that, but she's going to put gas in it, and so she's so mad at him. And I look over and I'm like, you know who's not mad? My wife. Might be worth the money. So his wife's a PA, like they've got money. So if Brandon will never see this video, maybe, but I'll send it to him. But get a whole house generator if you can afford it. Like, obviously, if you can't afford it, we understand. Like, you've got to prioritize your preps. Maybe you just get a small generator to run the essentials. But if you can afford it, like, I think it's worth the investment.
It was nice. Like, it kicked on automatically, so I didn't have to go out in the rain and turn it on. It was running. The kids and I went and filled up an upstairs tub and a downstairs tub with water, so that way we did have water for flushing the toilets, because we did not plan to run the generator nonstop. We had no clue how much that was going to cost, because we've never done that before. Any power outages we've had has been for a few hours at a time, so it really didn't change our gas bill because it's on natural gas. That
was huge, because I was nervous about how much our bill was going to be, but it wasn't that bad.
It actually came in. The power came back on right before our bill ended, so then this bill that came showed it, and it went up $30 we were out of power for 3.5 days, and ran it off and on as needed to cool refrigerators and freezers down, because we would run it and cool the house down with the air conditioner, and then we'd cut it off. So that was really nice. That made me feel a little bougie, and it made me feel a little guilty, because I know there were people like still suffering without power, but it was worth the money for us to have done that, for me not to have to stress with him being gone. So that was huge. We also had several of the EcoFlow battery generators, which was really nice. We had a small one that we could use to charge cell phones and such, so we didn't have to turn on the whole house generator just to charge a cell phone. We also had a larger one. I don't know the names of the sizes and stuff.
I don't remember I think the big was a Delta Pro Max, maybe. I could be making that name up, but Delta something, Delta Pro Max. I don't think that's it.
Yeah, that we loaned to his parents. because we did not realize they didn't have a generator. They have one ordered now. So we have a small gas generator too that we have used prior to using the whole house one, and so we messed up. We did a no. We know this. We accidentally left gas in it the last time it was used, and it was partly my fault, partly his fault, because he used it, had it in the garage, and I know that he kept thinking, I need to burn the gas off that, but it was in the garage where he could see it. Well, I, not knowing that he had not run the gas off, but thought I was being helpful, and I took it down to the barn one day to store it. So then it was out of sight, out of mind from him, and he didn't remember there was bad gas in it, and so then fast forward to a storm, and that one didn't run. So that was our big mistake, is that we did not have that one, because we would have taken that to his parents. But we took them the electric one, and it has solar panels, was charged, but it was cloudy for several days, so that didn't really help. But they got power back quick, that night, because they're inside the city limits of the town they live in.
And I think they're only like 40-watt panels, if I remember correctly, so you're burning more than you're taking in, so obviously at some point you drain the batteries.
Yes.
But so if you had multiple panels hooked up to it, things like that, it would be easier. But like, I think we were doing the deep freezer and refrigerator over here for our neighbors, and it was burning, 200 watts, if I remember right?
And it would last about 7 or 8 hours.
7 or 8 hours. So if we had the 40-watt panel, 60-watt panel, it kind of bounces. Doesn't really. That's the only problem I do see with it. Long term, you got to be able to recharge those batteries. But they were great for what we were using for.
They did. And so, like, once we got it back from his parents, we took it to the neighbor so she would not lose her food. And she and I kind of got a system. When I was running the generator in the morning, like to cool our stuff down and make our coffee or whatever we needed to do, she'd bring it up and we'd charge it for the day. And then a lot of times in the afternoon, when I turned the generator back on, and when it was hotter in the afternoon, to make sure, because we have a refrigerator and freezer in our garage, so when the garage would get warm in the afternoon, we would need to make sure those weren't getting too warm. So we'd run it in the afternoon to cool that stuff back down. We would charge it again for her, and then we would try to top it off at night. Before we went to bed, just to make sure she could get through the night. And I did tell her at night, like, if she's not opening the doors, I'm like, she probably doesn't have to have her refrigerator and freezer plugged in. So we did start doing that at night. Like I told her, I said, maybe let it both run a little bit before you go to bed, and then unplug it, because I'm not opening mine at night, and I'm not running the generator at night. So in theory, it should stay okay till the next morning. Because we were lucky that it was not hot weather.
Yeah.
That made a lot of this process a little easier to tolerate, because we'd had a really hot summer. But that was that all went pretty smooth, having the generator.
We had plenty of food, so we didn't have to worry about going to the grocery store every other day, things like that. You do a great job keeping us stocked on food, snack foods, stuff like that. So food wasn't an issue, because we could keep it cold, we could cook on it, and we had plenty of food stored for a long term if we had to go without going to the grocery stores, because the grocery stores went nuts. Pictures of empty shelves, they lost power, so they threw everything out, and then people were just scrambling for food, so now all of the shelves are empty. So trying to get food would have been a problem if we had not stored up.
Yes, that would have been. We do have gas stove in the house too, so we could light that with a match without having to have, the generator on. We have a propane grill. We have like camping stoves. Like, we have all these backup things that we did not thankfully have to use.
Probably one of the things we not really struggled with, was I didn't think to fuel our cars all the way up before the events. Like, I had almost a half a tank, 3/4 of a tank, and you had...
I had a little over half a tank, and I remember the day before, I was thinking I need to just top off my car, and I think I was doing a Walmart pickup. It was just a normal Walmart pickup. It just happened to fall. We had been out of town the week before, so we got back Sunday, and I had spent Monday and Tuesday just catching up on our normal, because we were out of town stuff, and then Wednesday was, okay, I need to restock our fruits and just like stuff like that, and did that, and it was already raining here Wednesday afternoon. I had already started draining our pool a lot, which was crazy because the storm didn't hit us until in the middle of the night Thursday.
Yeah, like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yes, but we had rain Wednesday. I had to drain the pool, and then even Thursday I was draining the pool a ton. So it was a lot of rain that came in before we actually got even the hurricane. And I remember thinking I should top off my car, and I don't even remember what happened. I think I came home and started doing something else, and then it was like monsooning, and I was just like, okay, I was just lazy. I was like, I don't want to go back out in that.
Yeah.
But we did, like, we got gas. We realized that you could go out first thing in the morning. And
everybody was still sleeping.
Everybody was still sleeping, and we're early birds. Like, we'd be waking up at like 6:30, and I'm like, why are we awake? There's nothing to do. There's no power. We could be sleeping. So when we figured that out, because I think my brother-in-law did that. He woke up early one day, and so he went out looking for gas at like 5:30 in the morning and said it was no line. So we did that, and it was fine, because was a big thing, is that a lot of the gas stations had gas, but they had no power. So then the ones who had gotten power back on, you would sit in line half an hour or to an hour just to get gas for your generator or for your car. That was one thing we saw. And that went on for several days.
Definitely. I think one of the things we got lots of 911 calls on was people that were without power, that were on oxygen. So if you have loved ones that are on O2, that have concentrators, maybe portable O2, you got to make sure they have backup power, whether it's a battery backup generator, a small Honda generator, or something like that. Way you got to make sure that our O2 stays running, especially long term. So if you've got family members, grandparents, parents, that needs to be number one prep that you think about.
Yeah.
And then people were buying chainsaws that never knew how to run chainsaws.
That's
things like
a little
that.
scary too.
Yeah. So having tourniquets, stop the bleed stuff, basic bandaging supplies would be a necessity for this thing. Benadryl was huge. Like, people were still asking for chewable Benadryl, dissolvable Benadryl, stuff like that, because all the bees that were in the ground are now up swarming. They're in trees.
They got displaced from their houses.
Yeah, they got displaced too, just like everyone else did. So the workers were getting stung by bees, things like that. So having Benadryl was one of the medicines that were needed. Ibuprofen, Tylenol is going to be some medicine you want to think about, because now you're doing physical labor. You may not necessarily be used to that type of labor. So some pain pills, Benadryl, basic medicines, stop the bleed kit, and way to power those oxygen concentrators.
Yes. And we get a lot of wind where we're at. We are up on a hill, and so there's nothing to stop the wind. So we were concerned about that. I had run around Wednesday before the rain started. That's probably part of the reason why I didn't get gas, because I had like this to-do list of things to like get put away, like all the rugs on the porches. I moved porch furniture. We get, as you can see, these doors here, when we get wind coming directly at us when it's raining, we've had rain come in these doors. We've had the doors like literally be moving up on this hill. So we literally pushed furniture in front of the doors on the inside, and we've ordered some things that go on the molding that actually a 2x4 slide in. So like for security, and even like for storms, we ordered those and they got lost in the process of the hurricane, so we've reordered them. But that was something we did just because we didn't know what direction the wind was going to go and be hitting us. We did have a shutter blew off of the house onto my car, of all things. Like, we did not really worry about trees falling on us where we were, but a shutter hit my car. And then we had a piece of the flashing on the metal porch roof got ripped off the side. But that's all very easy.
Super thankful, blessed. That's all it is.
Yes. So it was very minor for us. Some stuff blew around the pool deck and furniture blew into the pool, but the pool liner seems good. But we were not, like, that's all very minor.
Superficial.
Superficial. We had friends, had a couple friends who trees did fall on their houses. So we were very thankful that no one was injured in that process. I mean, it's stressful going through now them getting their house fixed and all that, but there was at least no injuries to them. I'm trying to think what else.
I think some preps we want to look at in the future, maybe it'd be next year, really would like to think about solar panels, because then we can run the house without having to run the whole house generator, so it puts another line in our steps for energy. I need to think about something for medical gear outfitters, because our business is on our property.
But
so
it's not on the generator.
Not on the generator. So you guys were getting, not all of you, like we had a few grumpy people, and I completely understand. You put an order in, and now you're a week and a half and you haven't heard anything from us, so I completely understand getting grumpy of why you haven't gotten your order, and I would have to email you and go, hey, sorry, we have no power. We can't ship orders out. So that's something I need to work on. Maybe thinking about putting just the shop on solar panel and battery backup, and then move to the house as a step process. But I need to figure out how to get medical gear online during these things, so you guys don't get grumpy with me. But we only refunded 2 orders. One guy was super nice about it. One guy was super grumpy and said he was going to make a YouTube video about it. So still waiting on that one. I think we did good customer service, just kind of waiting. He wasn't very happy with it. But I think generator or solar panel backup with batteries is probably our next year goal. We try to pick a project every year, it seems like. If it's a 1-year project, we're doing some renovations to our house upstairs now, so I think we'll do that next year. And I've really been looking at Starlink stuff.
Well, yeah, and then too, before I forget, because we're talking about generators, and Mr. Guns and Gear had mentioned this, see if the generator could also be run off a propane tank.
Yeah.
Because somewhere, and I've always wondered that, like, at what point does something happen to the gas line and we can't get gas? Because there was somewhere he said that the gas company had lost power and their generators weren't working to keep running it, so then there's that potential of, but that also was when our little small one could have come in as our backup. So.
True. Having multiple steps of alternate plans is important. And then I've been looking at Starlink. I was just talking to Engineer 775 just now about this before we started filming the video. We have Verizon internet, so it's satellite based. So thankful we're okay. A lot of people who have Charter, Spectrum internet, which is a cable, are still without internet. And I would be super grumpy if we didn't have internet, and our business would be in trouble because now we're 2 weeks out and I don't have internet, and I'd be trying to send emails on my cell phone, and you guys would be really grumpy with me. So think about Starlink as another backup plan, as a step process. Everyone who has it seems to like it, and looking at the mobile version, that way if I were somewhere else, like we were in Western North Carolina, and we would still have communication there if we're traveling. So just kind of something we're thinking about.
Yeah. And then when we did go to Western North Carolina Wednesday to help out a friend, Old Grouch,
military surplus.
Clyde, downtown Clyde, where he's located, got flooded. The river flooded through there, and so his store got flooded pretty badly. So we went up Wednesday, and the kids went with us, and we worked on cleaning river mud off of his stuff. That's some stinky fun, messy, but it was really sad. Like when we drove from Clyde through Canton to go back to the interstate. And they're not far off the interstate, so they got roads cleared a lot quicker than some of those communities because they're not far off the interstate. So it was easier to get to them. But it was really sad to see people literally gutting their houses. Like every house on that one block, this like couple blocks next to the river, there was just piles of debris where they were cleaning out their house. Like all their other stuff was lost.
You see cars with like mud just caked over top of them. Like the mud and water coming over top of cars.
Yeah.
So cars ruined, houses ruined in a moment of just a couple hours.
Yeah. And what Tim was saying is they also had all that rain like we did. And if the hurricane itself had hit 6 hours later than it had, the flooding probably wouldn't have been as bad because they said that the rivers will rise, but they usually go back down pretty quick. But everything came in so heavy, and I think that song "Coming in Hot" like that. The hurricane came in hot, and it was on the backside of already having excess rain, and it was terrible. So we have a lot of friends in Western North Carolina. Thankfully, none of them lost their lives, but their businesses have suffered, and we're hoping to go back up and help him at some point do some more cleanup. So, because he's got a long road ahead.
Definitely.
But if you like military surplus, go check out his stuff because he is listing things for sale, and he's even got it set up where you can buy gift cards, and they were giving boots away to like firemen and people who are working. So like he's still, even though he is literally trying to clean up his life, he's still looking at helping other people. So if you want to support him, go check out his site and see when he starts posting things for sale again, and give him some support. So help him get back on his feet.
Awesome.
I'm trying to think, is anything else prep wise?
We had water, food taken care of, so
One thing that I had not thought about, a lot of people, it was end of the month when this hurricane came through, and so the people who didn't have generators and lost food, I heard several were waiting on their their food stamps,
like EBT,
the EBT things, to come to get the money put back on there for October. So we had locally, they had some food pantries set up because people here lost food and then didn't have the money to buy food. So really, if people could even think about spending an extra $10 a week at the grocery store to put some canned foods aside that you don't eat off, like put them in a box somewhere. Just if you can do small little amounts for if something like this ever happened again, to not be in that situation. Like you don't have to go full out, but storing some water and some food would be huge to get you through a little bit. So But
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, I think we're going to talk about this too on the podcast. We're going to record Friday, by the way.
I saw where you told Sean I was going to be on there.
So go over to Civilian Medical Podcast. That has a YouTube channel as well. You can download it through most of the podcasts. Mrs. Skinny Medic's going to be on there because she wants to talk about Gage's ostomy stuff. So I was like, hey, Candace and Sean can just do the podcast. So I'll just schedule them. They can go talk. So awesome. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate all your support. You never know when you'll be the first responder. Remember, you need the right gear and the right training.
We cut off the camera, and then I remembered something. So we years ago was it Prepper Camp, maybe? When we would go to these trade shows like Heritage Life Skills, Prepper Camp, we would always try to look around and maybe pick up something to help with our preps. One of the things we picked up one year was a sun oven, and I've played with it. I've never had to use it. So one day, one of the days it was actually sunny, I got it out, and I think I was taking MJ to the barn to see the horse or something, so I wasn't going to be home, and I wanted baked potatoes and didn't want to leave a generator running and an oven running and all that, so I got the sun oven out, and I baked potatoes in the sun oven. They were not as soft as if they'd been in the oven, but it's because by the time I got home, we were already getting cloud cover, so I did not get the heat. But the temperature on that sun oven got up to about 350, 400 degrees when the sun was full facing it. So I thought that was pretty fun just to get to play with that. But it's just another backup prep we had. We didn't really have to use it, but I played with it.